Howdy, just watched a brief video that I've linked below, and it discusses the overall process of analyzing food, making recommendations for food and health, nutritional guidelines, etc., and how the food companies are the primary funders of the research institutes that are supposed to be analyzing the products of the food companies and then making recommendations based on an objective standard of health and the type of nutrition our body needs relative to what these food products actually provide and how they affect our body. It's quite interesting. I encourage you to watch the video, and it speaks to what I think is a broader topic that needs to be addressed. I think Vivek Ramaswamy and others have brought it to the forefront. I believe that Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s uh, discussions with former President Trump and his endorsement of former President Trump and the suggestion that RFK Jr. will be heavily involved in a Trump administration should former President Trump win the 2024 election suggests that in fact this will begin to get the attention that is due. And it highlights again how the last 40 to 60 years of the progress that has been made in America has come at the cost of the future and what it is that we're doing to ourselves, how we're misrepresenting what in fact is actually going on, as a lot of the cross currents of science and capitalism and free market have come together. The ideals have been hijacked by those who have sought to take advantage of people's trust in these ideals and the institutions that were supposedly established to further these ideals, and the, I guess, ignorance, for lack of a better term, that many of us have lived under in trusting these institutions to actually be working in our best interest and in a more or less objective manner without a sufficient system of checks and balances to ensure, in fact, that the best outcomes are being realized and that the outcomes that are being realized are being honestly presented to us as a public. So anyway, I think it gets to an overarching issue that we've become too enamored with the idea of too big to fail and too enamored with the idea that science as it's presented is necessarily a good thing, that those who represent science are representing science in a true objective manner, and that we need to reconsider how in fact we organize government and organize our institutions. We've become more centralized in our faith in Washington, the institutions of Washington, and what they have to say. For example, in COVID, one of the criticisms I've heard was that early on decisions were made to go down take a certain approach to dealing with COVID and to creating a vaccine, et cetera, notwithstanding issues such as redefining the term vaccine to fit what came out of COVID with the mRNA treatment. There's been concerns raised that perhaps some of those funds would have been better utilized had we established different centers of research around the country and different institutions that were able to do the research rather than putting all of our eggs into one basket. Not to mention the fact that the US government funded a great majority, if not all of that research, is not being refunded for the funding of that research. And so the profits that came from what was produced out of that research simply accrues to the companies that developed, and the development of the vaccines, or the treatments, I should say, were also protected from any kind of liability should they fail to work as promised. So anyway, just a big overarching issue I wanted to call your attention to. I encourage you to look at that video that I've linked about the health food industry and things that are happening there that appear to clearly be not in our best interest and not even reflective of what science is actually all about. Thank you all very much. Look forward to hearing what you have to say. Bye bye. Thank you very much for your time. I've got a couple other videos listed here if you'd like to take a look at those, and as I'd like to discuss issues related to politics, religion, society, and how in the world we're supposed to understand ourselves and life in the world. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Bye bye.